long have you been playing Overwatch for?
Since it came out, probably. I mean, no. Probably like a year after it came out, I started playing.
Okay.
But I'm not. Mm, I love to play DPS, but like I'm just my aim mechanics, dude. I played Xbox for like 10 years, and it's just so hard for me to. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's some mechanics or something I'm not doing, but I just kind of switched to tank. If I play DPS, I'll just play like Reaper or something that's
Okay.
not so aim intensive. So I
Mm,
kind of try to start getting better at tank, because you don't really there's not much aiming involved
yeah.
in that.
Mm,
So that's kind of where I went. I think last time I'd had a session with you, I did get a session on McCree, and I think
mm,
maybe a little on Genji, and I was
yeah.
like gold or low gold, and like I've gotten up to 29 or 2950 on tank.
Mm.
So I'm like, think I'm trying to go that route and try to move up a little bit
Sounds good. So then, let's say like the past 2 weeks or so, how often have you been playing the game?
every day.
All right.
I
And
get
then,
off at
yeah,
5 and play till like 10 or 11.
sounds good. And then let's say like, so final question for you, right, is do you have any
Mhm.
questions for me before we begin?
Not at the moment. Mm-mm.
All right. Well, then we just go ahead and get started, and I'll be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Attackers incoming.
All right.
Defend objective
And so just, walking in, getting some poke damage. I like that.
This will protect us.
Yep, no problems with this so far. We're just kind of sitting here poking it like they're not like hard going in.
Barrier up.
Yep, alright, so looks pretty standard for the moment.
This will protect us.
Alright. So one thing I am noticing just to begin, tiny thing, and then I'll point out the
Mm-hmm.
tiny things as we are going along, and then, we'll start going in more in depth on bigger things or things that we are repeating. But it's
Mm-hmm.
looking as though we're coming in, and then like the first large portion of the fight here, on both fights, we were kind of shooting at the Reinhardt. So
Yeah.
Reinhardt's not the first person usually who we're going to want to be shooting at. So we might want to just pick a different person to shoot at. So particularly like we have a couple options like I'm trying to think how in depth I go here. So I mean, like we have a couple options just to go for the back line. Like if we want to, we can go, sit up top and drop on them from behind. We can just walk through this room, and then if we need to, we jump out this way, right? But we're just kind of going at Reinhardt here, and let's see how often that keeps up. But for the moment, I'm just making a comment that we probably don't want to be on Reinhardt
This
as
will
often as
protect
we
us.
are,
All
because we're
right.
just not really going to be killing him. Okay, very nice.
It's only a dream. What do you have to do?
Splashdown.
Okay, so we're just chasing Lucio around. I mean, it's a 25-minute game. I imagine this will go wrong somewhere.
Barrier activated.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So again, for the moment, all seeming fine and dandy. Okay, yep, we're just pushing. All right. So this is where we get the first mistake. So okay, we're looking at how the fight's going. It's been a while, so I mean, I'm going to assume that even if I have mentioned this stuff, it's been like 5 months or so, if I remember like taking a look
Yeah.
at the dates. So I'm still going to repeat some stuff if it
Yeah.
needs to.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
just as how to tell whether or not you've won or lost a fight. We might have gone over this last time, but just to walk through that, right? It's mainly the big thing comes down to kill feed watching. When you are up 1 to 2 people, that is an advantage. When you're at an advantage, you want to get more aggressive, right? Go push in. That's exactly what we were doing. We were getting aggressive, which is fine. When you are up 2 to 3 people, that is a 1 fight. That is currently this fight where it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus a 1, 2, 3, 4. And in fact, on top of that, we have an additional advantage being 3 people on their team are lower than half HP, right? So this is very much a 1 fight already. Yet we're primaling, so no ults in won or lost fights, because now this is just it's overkill. It doesn't do anything when we could have just won the fight anyways, right? So in this instance, it would have been much better to hold on to it for the next fight. Now, this also goes the exact opposite way when we are down 1 to 2 people. That is a disadvantage. Might want to, we haven't lost the fight yet, but we might want to play a little bit more passive because we are down people. We're losing the fight. Now, when you're down 2 to 3 people, that is a lost fight, and again, no ults. And then you want to look to get out if possible, and then if you can't get out, then you let them kill you. So just that's how you tell whether or not you're winning or losing, and here we are very much winning, yet we're ulting, which just should not be happening. Alright, up until that point though, we haven't, honestly, that was like the first big mistake we made. Okay, other than that, let's look at the mechanics while we're ulting. Not noticing jumping, so we're just kind of walking around here. I would very highly recommend leaping at people, as leaping is going to allow us to do extra damage, as your jump does damage you leap on people, so this will kill people faster when we're leaping, but we're just kind of waltzing around at them rather than leaping. We leap, you get your leap cooldown back every faster while you're ulting, right? Yet we were only leaping once during that 10-second ult, right? Unnecessary bubble, right? Just a couple things. Just point them out as we go, right? But we were full HP. Bubble didn't do anything, and that's just a 12-second cooldown that didn't really accomplish anything. All right. So now, this is maybe a scenario where we could have possibly used our primal to maybe boop the Genji away from our team is an option here, or even survive if he comes at us is an option, right? Because now he just comes in and ravages through our team. Nice bubble that cut off the beat from hitting the Ana. And then again, that's another situation here where primal would have been probably pretty good to use. Now let's talk about real quick using high grounds to set up. So we're at 3 minutes here. Let's just talk about this real quick. So when we're on defense, the enemy team has to come to us, right? And a lot of times we can assume that they're going to come through certain pathways. So right, they have to come under that arch, that main arch, and then there's some other ways where they could be going as well. So on Monkey, high grounds are our best friends, because high grounds, when we're on a high ground, right, we can choose to do this where we just basically drop on top of their heads, and then now we can bubble, we can shoot at them, we get low or we're damaged or we're stunned or whatever, so we leap back out because we're in danger, and then boom, we're safe, right? So this is essentially what high grounds do for us. The alternative would be we just, if we don't have the high ground to do that, then we have 2 options. Either we can just sit here on the front line shooting at the Reinhardt, which that's not who we want to be shooting at, just to go quickly in depth on that, right? Tanks aren't what we want to shoot at. Tanks have 2 to 3 times the health of other characters. Really, they're just a lot harder to kill. They have shields, taking abilities, they have armor, and then on top of that, they also just don't output the statistical value. So even though tanks are a very important role and they can carry, their job is to tank and create space, whereas supports do healing and DPS do damage. So supports and DPS are just the higher value kills, and then just coming from the front line, shooting a Reinhardt every time isn't going to be very effective for you when you want to be on the back line. Now, the other option is to just leap into their team, which if no opportunity to do so, if they're not already low, or you don't have primal, or you don't have a team going in with you or distraction, that's just going to result in you dying. And that's what actually happened in the last fight, was we just dove in on the Ana and then we died, right? Because they all just turned around and killed us. So oftentimes we're not going to want to do that. So whenever possible, we want to reposition on these high grounds. So what that means is that if they're coming into us, right? So let's say they have to walk in and we know that they're going to point over here or whatever, and they have to walk through this area. Instead of just sitting here main, which is what we keep doing, is we just kind of keep sitting here and chilling. And coming in from the front line and then maybe leaping into, what we want to be doing is in between fights, we want to be repositioning to the best positioning possible, which a lot of times is going to be high grounds. So we can come over here to the top right high ground. Oh, I fell off. on accident, right? We can come over here to the top right high ground, set up here, wait till they walk in, and then drop on their backline, right? The saves our cooldown to be able to get out with, right? We can use our leap to get away with, and then we can just kind of drop on top of their backline, right? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So
Hello there.
in our game, we can kind of relate that to where we could be standing. And let's see. So we were imported. Snap. We were a Temple of Anubis game.
Now entering the ready for battle.
Okay, so notice for instance, like the first fight, where's the place that most teams will go first fight?
Usually they turn to the left and go through that room.
This
but
room?
No,
Or
like
this
in
room?
my games they go through there. Yeah.
Mhm. So maybe a place where we could be setting up is possibly like on top of this little thing. In case you weren't aware, you can stand on top of this, and maybe we can
Mhm.
set up here and then drop in on top of them, and then just leap out, leap out when we need to. We could possibly be, and then if we predict that they're gonna go left side at any point, we can set up on top of here or on top
Right.
of this. And then if at any point we have the opportunity, like if we're taking a look at their team comp, I honestly, let's look at it once they come out of spawn here. But at some points we can also just sit up here, and then we can just drop from the high ground on top of them. And then on top of that, we also have like maybe something like this, for example, where we can just get behind them and then just like kind of, this is an angle where they're not expecting us to come from, and we can just kind of walk over into them maybe a little bit easier without them shooting at us. So just a bunch of different angles that might be a lot better than just kind of waltzing at them from the front. Will
Right.
mean that we'll take a lot less damage. We'll have a surprise advantage. We won't get stunned as easily, and we're also going to be able to get to the back line a lot easier. So let's see, like what comp do they come out of spawn on? So taking a look at their comp, do they have a ton that can really contest you if you're up on the high ground? Like on
No,
this main
except
one?
that Anna could shoot at me. But
Yeah. So there's a Reinhardt who could get you, or sorry, Reinhardt can't get you. Zarya can't get you. Lucio maybe if he like wall rights all the way up, but then I mean we can just Tesla him down, right? Ana can shoot us if she's sitting all the way back here, but maybe let's say we let them walk in a little bit, like we just let them come in and then we leap up, and then this means that now Ana doesn't have line of sight on us because she's like down here, right?
Mhm.
We Sambar can TP up, but again we have bubble, we have leap to just leap back to our team if we need to. Same thing with Genji, right? Really, they don't have a ton that can so heavily contest us to where we can't stay up here, right? So this
Right.
would probably be like a really good place to default to in between fights. Like you said, they can see you from spawn, so a good idea might be to be like if specifically Ana, right? If Ana's there, you might want to just like not be up there, and then when Ana's doesn't have line of sight on you, then you can leap back up. So just options besides just sitting down main, right? Now let's get back to where we were. So it was like right after we died. So here, notice in this fight, just how we sit down main, right? We shoot at the Genji, sitting main, shooting the Reinhardt. We leap in, but again, leaping in this aggressively just is a lot of times just gonna get you killed when you don't have a way to get out,
This will
right?
protect
I should have just landed I should have landed right there,
On the high
like
ground,
up
or
above them. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, definitely that definitely is an option here.
like right there on that corner.
Yeah.
I should have landed. Yeah.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
Objective lost.
Yep, this is a good place to set up, right? This is like what we were just talking about, the high grounds. I like this position because they go right side, we can drop on top of them. They go main, we can drop on top of them. They go up top, we can contest them. And then unless we know for certain they're coming left side, and then we probably should just pretty much always default to this spot. And then if if we see that they're going left side, we can maybe just leap over here to this high ground and just Tesla them from up top, right?
Yeah.
So really good positioning here. We just wanted to do this on the last point too. Pay attention to people coming high ground because it's they know you're here. Or I mean, you can be fairly certain that they will know you're here. Assume that they do know you're here because they hear you, they see you. Assume that on their team again, paying attention to their team composition. Assume that their Pharah and Genji are going to be coming up here. So look to contest them. We hear Genji come up. If we're listening, we can hear his wall climbing, and then that way we're not just surprised by him getting on top of us. Unnecessary bubble probably there. No one's directly on top of us.
Looking at it from this angle, it was like, yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Literally not blocking anything.
Yeah. So just paying attention to our surroundings, right? That's part of awareness, is seeing like, okay, how many people are on top of me? Even on top of that, we have 300 HP and we're like right next to a mega health pack, right? And we have leap still, so
Barrier up.
probably not a situation where that was needed.
Vital signs normalizing.
Very nice. Okay, let's rewatch it. So, bubble would have been helpful here. On the Ana, we have not been
Vital signs
seeing.
normalizing.
Let's see. So here, we back away. We could probably add in a melee there. Are you familiar with like meleeing to
Yeah,
finish off
like right when
people?
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, meleeing to finish off people is going to be very efficient. First off, because it doesn't waste your ammo. And then secondly, because it's going to do a big burst of damage, which can kill them faster. And then when you kill them faster, that secures the kill. And, anytime you kill something faster, it's always going to be better. So us adding the melee in to finish her off is going to be pretty efficient there. And then besides that, Genji being on top of us, once we have leap here, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind, right? We can leap to just deal extra damage, confuse them, get on top of them, and then on top of that, we bubble again in a second here. We can leap to escape at the moment. The big thing I'd say here is that just we're not using leap. So in that situation, we can either leap just up in the air. We can leap like kind of into like a wall here. Like he's sitting like right here. We probably just like leap into this wall and then bounce back. Are you familiar with like short leaps at all? Like leaping a
Yeah, and
short
like I
distance?
practice, like I went into just custom games. I don't know if I do it in this game, but like the juggling, like where when you primal and knock them away and you short jump and
Yeah.
you like juggle them, like I've gotten a lot better at that, but I'm still not probably like, really good at it, but like
Yeah.
I have been practicing doing that.
Mhm. So here, yeah, just using jump at all would have been a very significant help in winning that fight, right? Because
Yeah.
even look at Genji's health right now. I think that if we landed like a jump melee on him, or like at his current health, he'd be dead, right?
Right.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
Sports.
Probably be setting back up to that spot. We're kind of not in that spot, and then again, notice how we're just kind of on the Reinhardt. Not really super effective to be like just shooting at him. Now we're getting an old charge there, so that's fine, right? And we kept him at bay. Probably say let them walk in a little bit further next time if preferable, right? So here, this is the choke point, right? I'm imagine you're familiar with what a choke is, playing this long,
Mhm.
right? It's just a funnel for them to walk through. It's bad positioning, right? But we want them to actually walk through that bad positioning. If they're just sitting on the other end of this, then they're not actually walking through the bad positioning. So we might want to let
Right.
them just bait them in to walk a little bit further through it before we actually start dropping in on top of them and like making them back off, because there we get a Reinhardt, but then they all just kind of sit on the other end, whereas we may have been able to get more kills if we just let them come in a little bit further, right?
Splashdown.
Oh, watch the ceiling.
Barrier up.
Very nice. Okay.
Trying to get that Zarya like towards my team, but it didn't. She didn't fly that way.
Yeah, when we're on the Zarya.
It's like right there. She should have us back a little bit more,
Yeah.
but like I was trying to at least get her in that alley, but
Yeah, cause she we booped her into the wall and then she just got up. Okay, so overall pretty good.
Bad guys, heads up.
Okay, repositioning here, probably just retaking the high ground. Yep, just a little bit slow of a reposition. Oh, and then we just drop anyways. So Repositioning a little bit better there. Going on the Reinhardt again, so that's what target priority is just making sure we're not constantly on top of the Reinhardt when there are just a lot better things to be on. Like if we're just on this high ground, we just drop in behind them, plop a bubble, go on the Moira, right, or something like that is an option. Where's the rest of their team at? They only have 4 people. Okay, so actually they don't have their whole team with them right now. So, you know, that's just better things than just being on top of their Ryan.
This will protect us.
Okay, nice leap to get out.
Step rider.
I think she just gave up.
Okay, we end up dropping from these high grounds a lot. Maybe we're just keeping them because we seem to be accidentally just
Like I
dropping.
didn't want to.
Or-
Yeah, I mean, because I like my idea was like I didn't want to. I should have looked at their team comp, but I just didn't want to feed up there and like just give them ult charge.
Yeah,
if they shoot at me.
in which case we can just back up and not. I mean, which you know, I was thinking of that too, right? Is just that, that's a good idea. Don't just like let them feed off a ult. Like so, we can take a quick peek, but then besides that, we can just sit up here on this ring.
Yeah.
But we just flat up dropped, and we also dropped last time too. So just keeping that high ground probably be a pretty good idea. And so far, it's still going pretty solid. But they do cap here, so let's look at what happens in the fight that they cap. Okay, so we're pushing up really far.
Protect us. Damage output increased.
Again, notice that we have all these targets that we can be on, right? We could be on Genji, who's behind us. We could be on Reaper, who's half HP over on the left. And we're shooting at Reinhardt, right? So just target priority. We're not going to, like, almost never are we ever going to be able to just solo kill a Reinhardt just because of how much health and he has. That we're just not really going to do very much on him. Alright. Let's see what's... And once again, kind of setting up in these weird angles to start off. Probably just be better off on the high ground. Alright. Okay, on the Reinhardt to start off, right? Pop in bubble. Probably not in the best area, right? So Monkey, Bubble wants to be splitting up their team. When we plop Bubble in their team, we can cut off healing from people. We can stop them from being able to get to each other. We can provide protection when we're on people. But here we just kind of plop it straight on the front line, which is the least effective way to use a Bubble, as it's just Bubble only has 600 HP. That thing is going to be gone, and it's also the biggest shield there is in the game, so this is just going to soak up a tiny little bit of damage, and I would imagine this thing is going to go down within like the next 2-3 seconds, right? 1, 2, 3. No, they just walked past it actually, right? So right, it just wasn't super effective, so make sure we're using it to cut off people instead of just plopping it down in front a lot of times. All right. Okay, again, just kind of walking at people. Okay, there we go. So we did use a leap, but again, it's just like 1 or 2 leaps during the ultimate. Just use leaps more often.
Dude, that should not have stunned me.
Maybe we can rewatch. I think did we jump around the corner here? What happened?
I was like,
yeah, we got stunned in the middle of a jump, so the momentum just carried us over. Yeah. All right. Okay, so here we just kind of hard dive on top of 2 tanks. Not probably the super most effective idea. So in general, let's just talk about just like Monkey and what soft dives are versus hard dives. So, soft dives are when we're going in without basically we're going in, and this is the thing where we talked about like when we're just kind of dropping in from high ground, then we're just getting on their backline, right? Our intent is to just poke at them, to look for an opportunity to create space, to do some damage. We're not intentionally going for like a kill a lot of the times because we're probably not going to get a kill out of a soft dive soft dive a lot of the times. A hard dive is when we just go in. We're in there. We're trying to do something. We're getting something accomplished. Now, it's not that one or the other is good or bad. It's just that they both have their situations and when they're useful. So soft dives is what you're going to want to go for most of the time, and then you go for hard dives in certain situations. So you go for hard dives when somebody is low HP, right? When somebody is isolated and on their own. So like, they have a support who's like super far off in the back. You can go for hard dives when you have like a full dive on your team and you have a bunch of people coming with you, so you have a bunch of team support. You can go for a hard dive when you have your ultimate, right? Those are situations where you can go for a hard dive. Now, soft dives are when you don't have any of that. When you're just, you still need to be in there doing things, but you don't have any opportunity to go off of. So this is where you just kind of go in. A lot of the times, preferably, would be without a leap, because then you have leap as an escape option, but it can be with a leap sometimes, especially like if you use your bubble well to protect yourself and you have team support, right? And then the intent of the soft dive is not to get a kill, but the intent of the soft dive is to get ult charge, to create space for your team, to draw attention, to negate some damage, and to and then eventually to just find opportunity to do something, right? So here
Right.
we go in for the hard dive when we have no opportunity to go in for the hard dive on, right? We don't. These guys are. We're going in on the Reinhardt and the Zarya. Neither of them are low, and on top of that, they're tanks, the things that we talked about us not wanting to shoot at, right? And just to clarify, because I always forget to add in this part, but it's not that we never shoot at tanks, right? We shoot at tanks when they're low, we shoot at them when they're out of position, we shoot at them when they are the only thing to shoot at. But other than that, we don't want to just shoot at them when they're full HP like this. So basically here, full HP, don't have primal, they're not out of position, they're not low. This isn't an opportunity, so therefore we shouldn't just be leaping straight on top of them. And then, as we saw when on the first point, when we just hard leapt onto the Ana in the back line, we just get instantly melted here, right?
That's smart.
So that's the thing there, the big one. So we just want to understand hard dives versus soft dives and when we go for each. So we've gone for some hard dives in situations where probably isn't preferable, and then that has caused us to die in multiple instances. Okay, again, maybe hard diving not necessary when maybe we could, for example, just come up right to the edge of point, just contest from the edge, drop a bubble, shoot. Maybe if we have the opportunity, we can drop and grab a mega, and then right as bubble breaks, or if we see an opportunity, then we can use leap. But instead, we're just kind of leaping straight into the action, getting in on top of them, hard diving in when we don't have an opportunity to do so, and then therefore we just get probably melted here, I'd imagine, right? Just melted, yeah. So that right there is one of the biggest things that like a monkey player can understand. Like a really monkey specific thing that a lot of players don't understand is the concept of that. All right, so let's skip forwards. All right, so before we continue here, let's just do strengths and weaknesses real quick. Just go over, what we need to work on and what it looks like for the moment. So ability usage. Honestly, been looking like slightly inconsistent, right? There's some inconsistencies there, but it's neither terrible or amazing. There are times where we have good good ability usage, and then there's times where we have bad ability usage, making sure we're not just plopping bubble on the front line, and making sure we're actually using our leap in our ultimate and when we're dueling people, and then also making sure we're leaping and understanding hard dives versus soft dives, right? So all of that together. Probably put ability usage, let's see, I'd probably say I'd put ability usage like probably around a medium priority for you to work on it, right? Now, all these are going to be adjusted up and down as we go along, just as we see more. Now, ultimate usage, we've talked about, right? Make sure you're not using it in one of lost fights, making sure we're leaping more often, just getting better with the juggling mechanics, of course, and then besides that, the timing of them, besides the one that we used in a lost fight, the timing of them has seemed pretty decent. And then we also, so overall, I'd probably say it's around kind of the same, neither fantastic nor horrible, probably around like a medium priority. Now, mechanics isn't really a thing on Monkey, so we can just kind of skip that. So, or I guess, no, never mind. The part of mechanics that we did go over was the target priority. That's something that we went over in that category. So rather than calling it mechanics, for the moment, we'll just call it target priority. Target priority is shooting at the right thing, right? So we want to make sure that we are doing that, and then that probably, I'm trying to think. That one does seem to be a little bit of an issue, though. Trying to think how big of an issue that is. Let's see how much it continues on. Again, for the moment, it's looking like a lot of these things are just being placed around the middle. We'll try to spread them out as we go, but there's nothing inherently wrong about them being in the middle. It just means that you need to get more consistent with things, right? Because they're all just inconsistent for the moment. So, target priority, kind of like a medium priority. Yet again, I don't think it's like insanely important or non-important. Now some of the other ones some of these ones I think might go up a little bit. So positioning, this one I do feel has needed a little bit of work. So a lot of times I'd like to see us in better positioning, especially in between fights, repositioning to better positioning. So particularly taking high grounds in between fights, and then on top of that, making sure that we're starting there and not just dropping from high grounds randomly. But the stinking problem is, again, there's only one thing in that category. Everything else in positioning has been fine. There's no other issues with our positioning, and then therefore I'm tempted to maybe like do it like a medium high with this. So maybe I'll just for now put that at medium high, but I don't think it's very much higher than the other ones. And then finally awareness. Awareness, we've had odds and ends things here and there where we, dropped the bubble because we weren't paying attention and we didn't see how many people were looking at us, or besides that, there hasn't been much in awareness. So I think this is the first one. Awareness is usually the slowest to diagnose, so we'll definitely adjust that as we go. But for now, awareness is going at like a low to medium. Oh, also paying attention to when fights are won or lost. That was another part of awareness. So that was maybe a low to medium. So, I mean, we'll adjust those as we go. We'll have more info to go off of at the very end of the session. But for now, it's looking like a lot of them are just kind of stacked up right in the middle. And then probably say like kind of it goes into play style ish to just the how to soft diving versus hard diving, which usually isn't a category that I add in, though I might add that in just as a the soft diving versus hard diving. It was pretty important.
3, 2,
Okay.
1. Incoming.
Hello there.
Okay, so we pressed bubble slightly too early, and that meant that it dropped to the bottom, so just to watch out for that. So I like this. We're not going in super hard. We're just kind of poking. So we are down some people at the moment. Okay, so here we get booped in by the Lucio, I think. Is that what happens? Or yeah, Lucio comes and boops us in further. Okay. So that's actually a really good
That
play by him.
positioning, dude. That's like a pro Lucio. I don't know where he came from, but
Yeah, I think he's like he's coming in from
look
like
at
over
him
there.
like a gangster, dude. Look at him. Yeah, I knew I was trashed right here.
Yeah. So here, really the only thing, like I may say maybe two tiny little things here that we could have done better would be like, first off, just paying attention to where the Lucio is and being aware of him so that we're not getting booped in by him. That'd be
But like
one
right
thing.
here, I was gonna ask you to like if
Yep.
because this happens a lot. I don't know if it happens in Masters and Grandmaster and stuff like that, but I mean this is like the play. This is where they're always gonna be.
Mhm.
So like on Monkey, other than what I'm doing right now, like is there somewhere? Well, I could go to Mega Room and jump through that hole and kind of get behind him maybe, but I don't really know where to like my
The-
maximum potential is right
Yeah,
here.
so here, this is where we get into the soft diving. I think this is perfectly fine. So the only time we'd really want to do this is like if they have like a Widowmaker or something like on the high ground here that we're trying to contest, maybe like a Widow or an Ashe or something like that, or if they have like an Ana who's sitting all the way back here. That'd be really the only time we'd ever do that. But other than that, I think what we're doing currently is fine, because what we're doing is we're doing the soft diving. Like this is completely fine. What we're doing, we're soft diving. That's all good. I'd say maybe the only thing I was gonna say here is like maybe go slightly softer, because we do go like maybe could have, if we ducked out here like a second faster than we wouldn't have been able to get booped in. Is something here maybe we could have done, but soft diving here is fine because what this does is it's getting us ult charge. We're getting up to 50%. Notice how we're the highest ult charge at the moment out of everybody. So if we get our ult first, we can just leap up on top of them, maybe boop some off. You know, we can engage and hard engage with it. We can boop some of them off the high ground. You know, we'll have it within the minute if we're keeping up at this current pace. And then on top of that, we're creating space for our team to do things. We're creating space for our Widowmaker to get headshots and our DPS to do stuff, right? That's what the job of a tank is to create space, right? And we are very much creating space by existing here in soft diving. And then on top of that, we're just looking for opportunities, right? We're waiting for somebody to be off on their own. We're waiting for somebody to be out of position. So maybe for example here, let's rewind like half a second. So right before we leave, maybe we could, like, instead of just jumping on top of these guys, maybe we could jump on top of the Ana over here. So, like, just leap on top of the bridge, like, you know, angle ourselves this way. We can jump on top of the Ana. You know, we can just drop from the high ground if we need to. We just drop a bubble. This would cut off Ana. Maybe we could, maybe we could get a pick on the Ana. But the bigger thing here is we're just creating pressure, and this could even draw them further away from the high ground and create some more space as well. Just an option here. But the big thing here is, like, I think this is completely fine. This is what we should be doing. This is kind of the maximum value I'd probably say we could be getting at the moment. The issue is that we just go probably just a tad bit too overly aggressive, and we don't know where Lucio is, right? Because then, but once bubble breaks, we should be out, right? It's pretty much it, right? Because we don't have health there to sustain.
Feels like I have the bends.
Walk it off.
Probably say just leap to get back from spawn faster, right? You'll have that cooldown again by the time you're ready to leap in. Again, pressing the button just a little bit early, keeping in mind that if you press your bubble, it will deploy the where you press the button. So if you're mid-air diving in and we press it like right here, the bubble will just fall to the floor here. So we keep dropping this bubble a little bit too early. So just make sure that we're paying attention to that, right? And not dropping it too early. Oh, gotta watch out for the trap. Lucio's up here. That is maybe a kill that we can turn around for and maybe try to get. If we're paying attention, that is an option here.
I think I'm going to get on the Ana right here.
Okay, which isn't, you know, is pretty valid, but I think we could also, you know, if we were paying attention to Lucio, that could be decently easy kill there, right? Yep, that's fine. We created a lot of space there. That's exactly what I was talking about to do beforehand. Okay, so let's see what we're doing with our primal. So, with our primal, first off, the only issue being, the only issue here, is that probably us going over to the Ana kind of baits them over here, which if we're trying to get a primal to boop them off the high ground or something like that and split them up, we don't want them over on this side because this is probably harder than if they're over here, so just keep that in mind. And then on top of that here, again, notice how we're on the tanks, on the Reinhardt who's nanoed, and then we're on the Zarya, and then Reinhardt, and then Zarya, right? Just completely wrong targets here. So honestly, I would say that target priority is going up a little bit, probably to like a medium-high, right, for you to work on it. Nobody's up on the high ground, so not being aware of where people are. So, and then on the Reinhardt, so we spent an entire primal just booping around the Reinhardt, right? Not really going to get a ton of value out of that, right? The only thing we did there was really just shut down his nano boost, and that was it, right? Whereas we probably could have gotten a couple of kills if we'd just gone for other people. So, target priority being on the right things. Nice, good kill on the Zarya there. Okay, so a couple of things. First off, we leap out, even though we hear the fire in the hole, we leap out when Reinhardt's like 1 HP. So probably just finish that kill. If Tyre comes in and we see it, we can just leap straight up in the air or something like that, and then that can get us like away from it and maybe dodge it out. So we leave the Reinhardt when he's 1 HP, first off, right? Secondly, we go in and get the Reinhardt, but then we probably have no reason to be... Okay, so here, like, we jump up to the high ground, but we have bubble, so I'd probably say high ground isn't super necessary here, and we could just plop a bubble down, and then this just puts us out of the fight longer. So, okay, we get the nano, we go in aggro, okay, good. That's one fight.
Damage up.
New defense point. Objective B.
Splashdown.
Straight Jeep to me right there.
Yep. Probably say just come in again. It's like kind of these things where we have to keep in mind that as we chase people, they're going to be running away from us, right? So when we in this scenario, and we're chasing Lucio down, right? Which direction? Which he has two options, two doors to go from. He has this door and this door. Out of the two doors, which one is more dangerous for him to be coming out of?
Well, see, I knew that, and I was like trying to do reverse psychology. And I was like, so he knows like I'm gonna like I thought he knew like I was gonna chase him through there, and then I thought I was gonna be smart and go through the other side, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, no, because he can hear you and see you, and you're a big monkey, right? So, here it's just you can just easily kite us. So, it's probably just if we come in through that door, then look at what happens if we come in through this door. So if we come in through this door, right? Then Lucio and we let's say we don't use our leap. Well, now we can peek in, see where he's at, and then if he's on this right, if he goes out that other side, we can just leap in after him, right? And this pushes him further into our team. Whereas currently, like our current like if we go this side, we can't do that same thing. I'd probably say the better thing we could have done is if we did come on this right side is don't go all the way in and maybe just like peek it and then like come back to leap after him. I don't know, maybe something. It's just like all these like tiny little misplays that we make that adds up to a lot during our gameplay. Not noticing the Widowmaker, and which is awareness, right? Not paying attention to our environment, so awareness takes a step up to a medium, right? Just because we've seen more of it developing. Sitting on Reinhardt, plopping down shield down main. And now we do see Widow, that's good. Okay. We saw Widow go high grounds, right? We saw her grapple up there. Yeah, we're not chasing her at the moment. Where'd she go? Okay, so she actually dropped main. So there in that situation, I'd maybe like watch through this, right? We go after Widow. We see where she grapples. She grapples up to high ground. Cooldown's on 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Okay, so she does drop from high ground, so maybe we actually heard that. That's my bad. I didn't actually hear that part. It's actually pretty good positioning for Primal. Yeah. Like number one target, we coming in here, first target we're acquiring is a Zarya when we have Lucio on a Junkrat, right? All easier to kill than Zarya. Zarya's gonna get pocketed by the supports. She has bubble, very difficult target to kill. Don't want to be on Zarya, right? It's just what we're on constantly. Noticing again that we're not really using leap here. We have leap, we have leap, we have leap. We're just kind of walking at people. More damage and it will get us to them faster. Okay, dropping on the Reinhardt when Widowmaker's over to the side. Right, and we see her over to the side and hear her over to the side.
I think it's just because they just look so fat, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yep, so
why I do that. But.
So this one, I'm trying to think through here. So we have a couple tiny little categories. So like we have usually I stick with the main 5 where I do positioning, awareness, mechanics, ability usage, ultimate usage. But now we don't have mechanics, and that's traded in for target priority. And then we also we'll do kind of play style with hard diving versus soft diving, which is another one to add in. So honestly, just rearranging some things here. Well, I'll probably say that our ability usage is dropping down a notch, right? Ability usage is going to like a low to medium. Ultimate usage still sticking at a medium. Then I'd say knowing when the soft dive versus hard dive is going at a medium high. Our then on top of that, probably say that our what was the other one? Target priority is going to a medium high. Positioning and awareness probably can stick at a medium. So that's just kind of where everything's sitting for now. Okay, because just so I can explain why it's so bad. So when kills is a lot in Overwatch, right? So even on tanks where your job is to create space, you still want to be securing kills. Securing kills is how you can carry and do more than your job, right? Is when you getting kills on tank, that is how you are exceeding your role, right? If your role and your job is to create space. If you're creating space while also getting kills, that is creating space and carrying at the same time. So we want to be able to secure kills. Now, when we're constantly on the wrong targets, we're not going to be getting nearly as many kills. We're going to be getting very, very little kills, right? Because kills aren't going to happen if they're very difficult. If we're picking very difficult targets to kill, right? So, for example, like they can go even one step further than tanks. Tanks is really the big thing we're struggling with, but there's even, you can compare it even further and go, okay, well, which is easier to kill, a Lucio or a Widowmaker? Right? So you might want to go for a Widowmaker over a Lucio because she has 25 less HP, she has enough self-healing, she has enough speed, she has one grapple, and that's it. Right? Who's easier to kill, like Ana or Ana or Lucio? I mean, like that, Lucio again be much harder to kill, or Ana or Junkrat be decently similar, though I'd say, I'd probably say they're pretty similar. Maybe yeah, I probably would say that those guys are really close together on who's easier to kill. So, you have a hierarchy here on their team comp where we pay attention to their team composition. We go, okay, what are the things that I should be intentionally trying to focus and kill and shoot at? The list would probably look something like this, where we're looking at Widowmaker first because she's the easiest to kill, right? And she's also probably who we as Monkey should be pressuring, right? And then we'd have Junkrat and Ana. Then we have Lucio, then we'd have tanks, right? And that would be the order. Instead, the opposite, the order now from what we've seen in our gameplay has looked Reinhardt is number 1, Zarya is number 2, Lucio is number 3, right? And then maybe a mix between the other 3 is number 4, right? Which is the exact opposite of how we should be playing. And then that leads to a lot less value. So that honestly is a very, very important thing for you to work on, right? For us to be just paying attention to that and making sure we're shooting at the right things.
This will protect us.
Audio awareness, using our ears, paying attention. Lucio's up top on our high ground. I can just hear that, right? Turn up your volume if you need to, but on top of that, it's just paying attention to your audio and listening for footsteps, for gunshots, for voice lines, for ults, for whatever, right? So we can hear he's there and then maybe go and get an easy kill, right? Which has been something that's happened a couple times. No problem with that.
Vital signs normalizing.
Hey, I like this. We're kind of soft diving here. This is good. All right, it's not, we do both of them, right? We do soft diving, we do hard diving. It's just that sometimes, once in a while, we'll mix up when we're doing each. So this is good.
Fire at will.
Okay. Make sure we're not stepping right in front of Reinhardt so we're not getting charged. On top of that, we have Leap there. Maybe we can use to get out of the way. So just pay attention to the charge. He can't charge you unless you, step in front of him, right? And it's something you can dodge. So just paying attention to that there, because that does get us killed.
Enemy contact.
Okay, probably looking to get our ult here. Oh.
Barrier activated.
Yeah, let's see how we use. Oh, last primal. Okay, so use primal here. Okay, lost fight. Right, so currently, even if we get these kills, let's say that we get these kills, we get Zarya and Lucio. Okay, well now it's 3 people versus 3 people, so we're even. But they have, oh sorry, never mind, 2 people. But the problem here is that they do have point control, so this makes it so that they can just get back to point super easily. Alright, analyzing the situation. Yeah, the issue here is that we just are going to they have close spawns, which is the big problem. And I would imagine we can skip forwards here a little bit and see, but I would imagine they're just gonna get their players back by the time we have our team to push forwards with. So let's say we get one and we're going in aggro, but if we're just looking at the whole teams now, right? It's a 1-2-3-4 versus a 1-2-3-4-5, right? They already have their players back, so really this primal that probably wasn't worth it, and we could just wait for our team. Now, okay, now that was very much worth it. That they just used 3 ults on you. That was worth it. That's fine. I mean that they kind of over ulted there a ton, but I'd probably say we probably should have just held on to it because we ulted when we didn't have any teammates alive and they had close spawns. So just watch for that's awareness again. Okay, so let's go to the training range here. We're going to go over the main points of the session and then do a quick review and wrap it up from there. What the heck is happening? That is like, forget the buttons that get rid of that. Control Z?
My ultimate is
No.
charging.
Alright, well, I don't remember what buttons turn on and off that, so I guess we'll have
My
to
ultimate is
deal with it or
charging.
something like
I
that.
need healing.
So in any case, right? Number one thing was probably going to be target priority. Everything was pretty close together, though I am going to give you a list just so you know which ones to work on first, right? And put priority in. But keep in mind that just a lot of these things are pretty close together, right? But probably say the first one was target priority because there's such a fundamental thing you're messing up that really just is meaning that we're not getting a lot of value out of what we're shooting at ever. So we just make sure understanding that, right? Shoot at shoot at things that are easy to kill, not things that are hard to kill. So no tanks unless they're low or out of position or in certain situations. And then even out of supports and DPS, pick out the things that are easiest to kill, not hardest to kill, right? Number 2, probably, let's see. I will probably put that at your awareness. Awareness did seem to come up at the end more often, paying attention to what's happening in the kill feed, right? 1 to 2 is an advantage or disadvantage. 2 to 3 is a won or lost fight. No ults in won or lost fights, right? And then look to get super aggressive in won fights, and then look to get out in lost fights, right? Or let them kill you if you can't. Just watching that, paying attention to where is the enemy team and where's my team at. Sometimes we just would go in without our team, or we wouldn't know where enemy team was at, like where Lucio's behind us or Widowmaker was to the left of us. Like we just didn't pay attention to where players were at. Then on top of that, audio awareness of listening and keeping our ears open. And then those are a lot of the main ones, right? It's just paying attention to all those things, pay attention to team compositions and, what do we want to be focusing, which targets are the best things to kill, and then also like what things can contest me, right? Pay attention to all those things. Now number 3, probably say, let's see, okay, so we have 3 things left. So probably say that this next one comes in at like positioning. Positioning, just make sure we're taking high grounds in between fights, make sure we're not accidentally dropping from high grounds, make sure we're just setting up behind them if possible to get on their back line instead of just dropping and sitting on the front line. Number 4, I would probably say comes in at ultimate usage, just making sure we're leaping more often, not using them in won or lost fights, and then those are really the big ones. And then on from there, knowing when to hard dive versus soft dive. The only reason why those were pretty big mistakes when we did make them, but we didn't make them very often. We made them like once in a while, but they were, keeping in mind they're still a pretty big thing. This one's still close to the middle of everything else, so we still need to work on it. Soft dive is going to be most situations, right? We just kind of poke in. By default, we just go in, we poke, we try to create space, we shoot at things, we get ult charge. When we have our ults, when we see an opportunity, when they're low, when they're out of position, when we see some reason why we can go in, then we can hard dive, right? Then we can go in. Sometimes we'd hard dive and it wasn't a good idea to, and then that got us killed a couple times and just didn't get us a lot of value. Now, finally, last one was just ult ability usage, right? Make sure their bubble, we're not just kind of plopping it down in the middle of nowhere like out in the open. And then besides that, we want to make sure that with our jumps, we're actually using them in duels and in our ultimate. Like, we would just kind of leap around like once per ult or twice per ult when we get it in our ultimate. Like, I don't even know how many times you can use it. Probably like 7 times or so, something like that, or five. Well, I don't even know what number it is because I don't remember how long the cooldown is on it. But in any case, right, you can get it a lot when you're ulting, and we just didn't use it, so make sure you're using it more often. And then that is pretty much it. So do you got any questions about anything we've talked about?
Not really. I just have to not shoot at Reinhardt's.
Yep, big one, man. All right, so then I'm going to stop the